Thank you, Mr. Chair. I'd like to turn your attention to this chart. Since 1979, the PRC has experienced what the World Bank has called, quote, the fastest sustained expansion by a major economy in history. In this chart here, we see rapid growth of the PRC's economy. On the bottom, it's the red dots corresponding to gross domestic product by year. And on the top is the US. You can see that China's growth is rapid, but it has not converged yet. Dr. Schmidt, in order to progress, the CCP has invested heavily in post-secondary education and developing the world's largest technical workforce. In fact, in 2021, the most common post-secondary educational degree in the PRC is what's called a short-term vocational degree, with almost 82 million Chinese having them. The corresponding number in the US is 19 million. So 82 million there, 19 million here. You would agree with me that an emphasis on technical and vocational education in the PRC has helped to propel its growth over time, right?
Yes, you're exactly correct. And it's important to know that China produces more PhDs in artificial intelligence, for example, than we do. They're now producing more papers than we do. They have 4 to 5 times the number of STEM graduates than the United States provides. So unless you think somehow their system will prevent them from being intelligent, which is clearly now false, we have a structural problem of scale. They have more people, more investment, and so forth, and they're delivering.
And if we were to have a similar emphasis, for instance, on vocational education and apprenticeships, which you talk about in your testimony, that's very possible that our own economy could take off as well. Isn't that right?
You're exactly right again. And more importantly, we seem to have forgotten that we should start manufacturing stuff and as a country. And the way you start manufacturing stuff is you need the people who manufacture things. And those are typically people who are not given a liberal arts college education, but rather a technical education in high school and college. And they're very, very valuable, and their salaries are very high.
Let me turn to another topic, which is in addition to developing our own talent, we must attract the world's best talent, wherever it is. It turns out that according to a Science article, they polled 2,300 scientists around the world to find out where would they like to live. It turns out 56% of them said they would consider moving to America, but only 8% said they would consider moving to China. Now, it's good that scientists and STEM graduates would want to come to America because report after report shows that our defense industrial base and innovation and technologies of the future require STEM graduates. Now, you might be wondering, where are these STEM graduates? Dr. Schmidt, I have a chart here that shows where some of these STEM graduates come from among our closest friends and allies. Now, Dr. Schmidt, immigrants in America helped create more than half of the startups, account for more than 70% of graduate students in artificial intelligence and semiconductor-related fields. Is it fair to say that unless we attack these STEM graduates from here and around the world, we would be harming our ability to compete with the CCP?
We need to accelerate everything you just said as fast as we possibly can in very specific fields. I'd also like, if I may, to say that there's a notion that somehow the Chinese-born students are not necessary in the U.S. We did a study of this, and the top papers will often have 1 or 2 of the authors be Chinese-born. We need them in America, and we need to keep them in America. It makes no sense to educate them to the teeth and ship them back. And as an example, the way the lead in Chinese quantum occurred is we took such a person, educate them to the teeth, and ship them back. And now they're creating store now, decrypt later to decrypt all of our messages.
See, that's crazy. That's absolutely crazy. There's an executive at a CCP party newspaper who said that U.S. efforts to lure global talent would, quote, pose a huge challenge for China. Sir, one congressional report stated the following, Dr. Schmidt, the U.S., quote, needs to continue to attract the best and brightest STEM talent from around the world. You'd agree with that, right?
Yes, of course.
It turns out that that was from the House GOP China Task Force. And I happen to agree with that point that the GOP made. And I hope that we, as a committee, follow up on this particular issue. Thank you, and I yield back.